And so then I eat something, but I'm doing it maybe as part of a response to levels that are low, but I'm using one system, eating, to create a change in the brain. And what you're saying is there's other things that they could do from a movement perspective that could activate a change in the brain that would compensate for these low levels.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Let me just give you my 10-second or less answer. When you're in an emotional state, like stress or anger, or you're just fatigued, a lot of times the things we do is to manage our emotional states. There's a disparity between how we actually feel at the moment and how we want to feel. And by identifying that, how do I feel right now? How do I want to feel? We can start to bring our frontal lobes back online by asking ourselves these questions in advance, rather than just going for the solution that we're conditioned for, which is food, which temporarily, food works wonders to accomplish that. But also, it could be going for a walk. It could be something like knitting, if I enjoy knitting. If you can't stand knitting, that's a crap alternative. It could be sex.
So what is...
Well, not when you first walk through the front door. The children would be traumatized. Do you remember that one Christmas when? No, you don't want to do that.
That's right. I was kind of taking control of my emotions. So what you're saying is that, but the action of saying, or maybe some preparation would be in place, but something you could do. So first, what you're saying is just the action of saying, okay, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? It's something that, when I walk through the door, getting home, if I can do that, then that's going to be a powerful motivator to my brain to say, okay, cool, we'll hold up a second. We just consciously thought about how we feel and how we want to feel. So therefore, we now have a brief window of opportunity to actually make a change on the path that will lead to mindless eating.
Put a little bit of a space between stimulus and response, and that's a very good solution, Jamie. What would be even better, I think, is if a trainer would do that before you're in the situation where you're responding to your emotional needs.
And by that you mean if the trainer were to do some work saying, hey, let's have a bit of a brainstorm about when you're in that state, what sort of things can you do that will help create a positive mindset where you'll feel better about yourself.
How
so someone might say,
because
I might hate going for a walk, but you might love it. And so you might say, when I go for a walk, living in Boulder, like when I'm in Boulder, everything's great, it's beautiful, and I might say, I live in downtown Denver, where if I go for a walk, it's depressing and I might get mugged. So I might have a different emotional stimulus. I might say that isn't going to switch me on. For me, however, if I, maybe if I do something where I'm maybe playing a video game or something like that, where I'm going, I love this video game because it switches on my brain, it gets me excited, it gets me motivated, and it brings me back from the sort of the mindless sense of things. And that's what makes me feel better. Because each individual would have different things that make them feel better. But I might even say that what's most important is that I took action on that one thing that I think makes me feel better. Is that right?
That's brilliant. That's a really good point. And before we sum up what we talked about, every time, now see, people think that they have to do it all or nothing. If I don't become the ideal person I want to be, which I don't even believe in creating, well, what does your ideal self look like? Because when they don't make it, it's devastating.
Yeah, right.
And any part
you
of
put
change,
the goal up there, and if you only get this far, then you're like...
Relapse recidivism, it's part of the deal. If you can't deal with it when it happens, you're probably not going to make it.
Right.
But one really powerful point you just made is the second I do that just once, I structurally change my brain. Just once.
Okay.
So if throughout the course of the week, 3 nights a week, I hit that ice cream, and then next week, 2 out of the 3 times, I still reached in there. But one time, I didn't do it because I was more prepared. Your clients need to understand. And if you are a client, you need to understand you've made changes in your neural circuitry that are in correspondence with where you want to go. So step by step, it's very, very important. You do it even once and just do it again the following week, you'll get even stronger. It's like training a muscle.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's how I talk to clients about it. I say it's almost like a willpower muscle.
Yeah.
And you can grow that willpower muscle. Then you have an opportunity to when it gets challenged by some sort of task, or say a birthday or a family event or a stressful situation, if you have that muscle in place and you're already well practiced of the alternatives that you can do, instead of reaching for the ice cream or something like that, then all of a sudden the likelihood of you making a decision that's better for you improve dramatically. It's interesting. It's interesting because what you're really saying is the neurological reasoning behind. Because the food plan I give clients, I talk a lot about. Okay, I want you to start off with just try to get. Here's how I recommend you eat. I want you to try and get 5 of those meals in a row. And if you can, because I know that if I can get 5 meals, that means that that's sort of like a full day and breakfast and lunch. And so that means they would have had a good dinner, and then they would have woken up for breakfast and lunch, because dinner's usually the hard one at the end, right? So that way I can make them feel successful about that, and then once they've mastered getting 5 in a row, and if they screw one up, then just start again. But the whole idea is to try and create that successful part where they've gone through at least a day. And what you're saying is that somewhere along the line, they would have had to make a decision about, well, normally I eat this. Well, no, but I'm not going to eat that because I'm trying to get my 5 meals in a row.
Every time you do something that you set out to do by design, rather than giving in by default, you strengthen your willpower. So here's 4 steps that you can take away as we conclude this. Sure. Number 1, if you're having impulse control issues, or if you have a client that's having impulse control issues, inside the gym, number 1, they might benefit from some proprioceptively challenging exercises.
Right.
Just as an example, I'm not saying this is what you want to do. This is where standing on one leg and going through perturbations of movement with your upper body might not only help them to establish greater neuromuscular control, but greater impulse control. So a lot of clients might be like, oh, I hate doing that balance because, well, what else do you hate outside the gym that stops you from having what you want to have? If this, then that. Now you're linking up what they need with exactly what it is that they want. Number 2, identify what are the situations that cause me the most problems. Is it when I come home at the end of the day? Is it when I go out for lunch with my friends? How am I feeling at that moment versus how do I desire to feel? Number 3, establish an alternative plan of action. Could be knitting, not for everybody. Could be going for a walk. Could be, as soon as I walk into the house, maybe what I do is I put on a funny comedy. And I manage my emotions that way. Maybe it's engaging in a game of tennis. And the final thing is, number 4, what happens when your well-laid plans fail? How do you talk to yourself? You got to understand, it's not a matter of doing this all the time. It's a matter of doing it consistently, intermittently. That makes a difference. Because one change between the undesired behavior and a desired behavior makes a difference and does strengthen your willpower.
So if I can recap, just to make sure I understood.
That was the recap.
Dude, no, here's the Jamie Atlas recap, all right?
Go on.
So number 1, what you said is move in unpredictable ways. Because it'll connect the brain and sort of help that impulse center be activated.
How many people do you think watching this right now just did something like that?
Very few, I'm going to bet. However,
sorry,
now that so maybe not that unpredictable. 2 is find out what your clients' danger zones are. Maybe it's when they go to the office. Maybe it's when they get home. Maybe it's when they go to their girlfriend's place or something like that.
And the emotional needs.
And the emotional needs.
How do I
feel? How do I want to feel?
Exactly.
Good.
Very important.
Good. Number 3 is
substitution behavior that allows me to feel the way the food would have. Right?
Okay, so what sort of different things can I do? So 2 is know your danger zones. 3 is what can you do to get out of that danger zone? And then number 4 is what strategies or techniques can you use such that if when you do fail, you can get back on the horse as quick as possible.
Failure is nothing more than a single isolated event. It's not a person.
Yeah. Or as I say, you only fail when you stop trying. Right?
You can say that.
Yeah.